Hey, so one of my assignments is to talk about my writing. You know, why I write, what I think about writing, what I like to write. I'm supposed to write about my history of writing, or to talk about my history of writing, and my perceptions of my own writing. And it's going to be fairly difficult from what I can tell. Growing up, I've always liked to read. More than anything else, I've liked to read. I would read more than I eat, if that were possible. I mean, I typically just put them together and have a book open while I read, or while I eat. I have food in my hand while I read. But I never really saw myself as a writer. To me, writers were the ones who created the books. I like being that passive enjoyer of a book, not the active one who has to plan out what's going to happen, when and where and how. I like just being able to enjoy what somebody else has done. When I was a kid, I grew up with divorced parents. I lived in the same town where my dad had lived, so I still saw my grandmother, especially when he came to town. That was our typical trip, was to see Grandma. And I couldn't ever help but feel as if I were being compared to the rest of them. See, that part of the family is very artistic. They draw, they paint, they do anything with color. My cousins are completely tatted up, and most of it's their own designs. So when I was at my grandma's being babysat, she would have me color things or sketch things or even just copy things just so I could get the action of doing something with my hand, coloring artistically. But I was never very good at it, and I never enjoyed it. Even now, I don't doodle. I write. I write lists. Those are my doodles. It's pretty sad. I always felt like she compared me to my cousins, who, while very artistic, are also druggies and into skateboarding and stuff. I mean, for me, considering that I grew up with my mom, for me, they were always the lower ones, you know? They should be being compared to me. I was the smart one. I was the successful one with the friends. I was the one who was going to go to university one day. They were just the ones who were kind of a mess. And they still are. But they've also done pretty well for themselves, after all. Anyway, so Grandma always compared me to them. And I always felt like she would never like me as much. And I should do this art because I wanted to please her, you know? And then I realized that art wasn't just about drawing a picture, or coloring a painting, or doing whatever you do with colors in art. There could be several different types of art. My father has discovered the ability to make artwork on the web. He designs software and he designs websites for people to use to further their own business. And I've realized that that really is a form of art, to be able to do what he does. It's his own form of expression. That's how he thinks. And you know, writing is really a type of art. No, it's not something you can put in a talent show. Hey, sit here and watch while I write this. You can't read in a talent show. Sit and I'll read this story to you and you'll enjoy it. But at the same time, writing is a way to express yourself, your beliefs, your ideas, your thoughts. And so I could be artistic. I could paint a picture with words. I could paint a landscape, paint scenery. I could paint a still life. There are ways to get the shadows just right and the textures. There are shades to a word. There are all these things that create paintings, and they can be applied to words just as well. And can just as well be applied to writing to create a masterpiece worthy of Gauguin or Van Gogh, Monet or Manet. And so that's the way I see writing now. I see it as something that is possible and artistic. Something I would like to be able to do. If I have a gene of art, if that's a thing, and if I have it from my grandparents, it would definitely be in writing. And it's just a matter of me finding out how to access that writing art gene, how to create it on paper, how to use it, how to make a masterpiece that maybe one day I can take to my grandma and show to her and say, look, I'm an artist too. I'm your granddaughter, and I can make art. That would be the best thing. So now I stand at a place where I'm looking at how to make art out of words. How do I personally take this hand and create masterpieces? How do I take this hand and express what I think every day, and express what I want to say, what I want other people to know about me? How do I take this hand and do that? To me, it's just 5 fingers. It's often clammy, disgusting, I know. It has a single ring as a replacement for my class ring. It's stubby. The nails are never perfect. They're shaped their own way. I have the thumb of Megan Fox, short, stout. I have just a hand that some way or another might be used as a tool, as a paintbrush, as a charcoal, as an oil. It is ink in some way. See, my biggest thing with writing is that back home nobody does it. Except for, the really angsty kids that sit in a corner of the hallway with storm clouds over their heads. The kind that are always in anime, growing mushrooms in the corner. Sorry, I'm distracted by how geeky I just became. Writing isn't something that a normal kid would do back home. It was just always done by the loners, the goths, the ones that read Twilight and believed that they were vampires. And then I came to college, and I'm in a place where there's an entire department, an entire focus dedicated to creative writing. There's a newspaper office, and I know the people that work for it, and they're normal. Writing is something that normal people do. But then, of course, I look at my friends, close friends, who are in the process of writing books and songs and poems and plays. And I think to myself, who am I that I think I can compare with them? They've been writing for 15 years. They've been writing forever. They know what they're doing. I just kind of consider doing it sometimes. I think how nice it would be. Maybe. Possibly. One day. I have a hard time thinking of it as myself. Comparing myself to them. Thinking that I have the talent that they have. Because theirs is so much greater than mine. So, how do I show my own work? How do I show that what I have to say is important too? How do I let my voice be heard when we're so busy listening to theirs? How do I make my spot compared to them? Because I'm not like them. Fredericksburg, I swear, has something in its water. Everybody here is creative. Maybe if I drink enough of it, it'll come to me, too.